So if you had asked me a couple of years ago what the next bass I would be likely to buy would be, it would have been another Stingray style, something to just back up the one I had back there. That time came, and it went, and it passed. If you asked me earlier this year what type of bass I thought the next one I would buy would be, it probably would have been one of the ones that I made a post about, which is the gimmick basses. A multi-scale or a headless, I was leaning toward double soap bar bass of some sort. I was leaning that way for the greater part of this year. Like, that's the thought process I had. Like, if I get another bass, it's going to be this because I would want to do this to it. Nothing could have prepared me for this, which I'm going to get in the light properly. I had considered these at different points before. By the way, I'm recording this as of December the 1st. I ordered this as part of the Black Friday week, where Fender marks down a bunch of stuff on their website, which, of course, yes, this is a Squier, but you buy it on Fender.com. And it was 30% off, which makes it $168 and some change. I can't remember exactly what it came up to. $240 for this, I think, is an okay deal. I think you could spend that kind of money and be all right with this. But for $168, I think this is really good. I think this bass is actually pretty great. And I'm saying that shocked at my own statement. So, let's walk through the whole bass. I'll talk about what's astonishing to me, what's good, what's bad, what I find most surprising. So, this is the Sonic series Squier Bronco Bass. This is a short scale. This is 30 inches from nut to bridge saddles. I've never owned a short scale. And I always thought that I'm a 6 foot, 240 pound guy. So to me, a short scale looks really small. That's always something I've had in mind, but it really doesn't look that bad. It's a little different. I'll give it that. But on a smaller person, I just watched a Danny Sapko video recently. This is kind of perfect. And I've played a lot of short scales in store that the strings felt extremely loose. They are, of course, given that this is 4 inches shorter in scale, the tension is less on the strings. But I noticed that in almost like a good way, where bends and stuff like this are easier, and it doesn't seem to be lacking in tension for the plucking. The plucking is the part that's difficult for me when strings are loose, because I have learned early on from the kind of music I was listening to just pluck hard, and I don't want to do that with strings that are too loose. This, it's pretty similar to a regular 34-inch scale bass, which is shocking to me. pulling this thing off because it's distracting me, and I know it's going to distract and drive somebody crazy who's watching. Okay, so now we're going to start from the top and go to the bottom. So I really dig these tuners. These have the thick middle part, like my Schecter over there, and they're smaller here. So these are lighter weight and thicker, and to me, it's just a little bit more enjoyable than the flat ones when you tune it. And they seem to be pretty accurate. I've tuned it 2 or 3 times. It hasn't been much. But I really enjoy these, and I'm shocked that other instruments aren't like this. They have the small posts on the front, which leads me to believe that, you know, if anything breaks and I have to replace it, they're going to be kind of lightweight, and that'll be nice. The nut is definitely the cheap material, but the way that they cut it is almost perfect. You could go a little bit lower, but you know, that's a little bit concerning. If you go too low, you'd have a buzz, and it's hard to fix. So they would rather go high than low when they make these. This bass has a 38 millimeter nut, which is another spec that I thought I hated, and I didn't like it based on my Sterling sub Ray 4. Now, the thing with that bass is it did this thing at the nut where it came to like a V shape here, and the nut was 38 millimeters, and there's this V shape thing, and my large hands, which, like, so just to kind of give you an idea, that's a 5 fret spread down here, right? So to my hands, I prefer like a volute and a 42 millimeter nut. Actually, I really prefer 5 strings with a 45 millimeter nut. It just feels correct. And my Ray 4 was annoying based on the sort of V shape down here in this area combined with the skinny nut. This so far actually feels okay. In addition to the nut, the 9.5 inch radius is something that I've voiced not being a huge fan of, because it makes the way that you fret the strings feel, I don't know, it's like I feel like the strings, instead of being pushed up against a flat surface, are being pushed up against a curved surface in my hands. I know that's a strange thing to describe, but it's something that I feel. And I do feel it on this bass, but it actually doesn't really bother me that much. When I was just playing the intro part, which I'm going to have cut up throughout the talking, after a little while, I started to feel like, I probably can't get it to focus, like the strings were pressing into my fingers a little bit more than any bass with like a flatter radius. I was feeling that, but I'm also out of practice. I haven't played in a while, so I don't know. I'm just kind of shocked by these specs. I went with this purple, by the way, while we're on the neck, working our way down. I always just pick maple, not for a tone purpose, but because I'm annoyed by so many instruments being dark throughout the entirety of the instrument, including a rosewood fretboard. And I've now got to the point where a rosewood fretboard to me is just like, oh, just another dark piece of a dark instrument. So I like stuff that's bright and vibrant to look at. And so maple is just kind of my preferred fretboard wood. It would be really nice if there were more options out there. More people would use other things in a grand scheme. in a large scale. So this is a really good contrast with a black pickguard and this ultraviolet finish, which is kind of darker than you would expect for it to be called violet. It's really a great finish. Now, the blue one is more appealing to me. Blue is my favorite color. However, I saw this and I was sitting there with my wife, whose favorite color is purple, and I showed it to her and she was like, ooh. And I was like, yeah, how would you like to play that? Thinking in terms of her, who has smaller hands, a short scale would be perfect. I have 9. She could jump into this without too much difficulty. It's a good size for kids and teenagers and women, or even men who happen to have a smaller hands, somebody like that. But even for me, I'm sitting here playing it and I'm enjoying myself. Shockingly, surprisingly, I don't know. Like, I knew when I ordered it. Obviously, I wouldn't have ordered it if I didn't think that I would like it at all. But I'm just kind of shocked at how much I do like it. I haven't had a Squier. I've never owned a true Fender. And I haven't had a Squier since I started bass. I had a Affinity P bass back in 2003 or something. And they were bad then. Yeah, they were not so good. Knowing what I know now, if I still had it, I probably could have gave it a good setup, some shielding, and a pickup swap, and it probably would have been a great bass. But I didn't know. I just thought, oh, this is a bad bass. And it kind of sucks that a lot of people's experience with Squier is that. Because I know that later, I can't remember the year, maybe 2008, 10, when the Vintage Modified and the Classic Vibe series came out and I played those in store, I was like, oh, these are some great instruments. And then I kind of always had Squier on my radar again after that time. I ordered a couple of Squier jazz basses at one time that had problems one way or another, and they both ended up going back. So I gave them a chance at different times, and I'm giving them a chance again, and I'm very happy. Even given that this is the Sonic series, this is, at one point, this was the lowest cost, worst series. Now they have the debut series on Amazon. That's a little different and a little cheaper, but yeah, this actually came with, let me see, I have done no setup to this bass yet. Let me see if I can get it. So a lot of people would call that really high action. I think it's perfectly acceptable for a bass, based on the way I play and the way that bass strings need a good bit of clearance to truly vibrate and to give you the full tone of what I think you should, need to hear. It's about 4 millimeters on the low E, and three and a half millimeters on the G for the action. Now the relief is extremely good. It's, let me see. The relief is almost hard to see with my eyes, but when I touch the string, there is a little bit of clearance, which is kind of perfect. Some of my basses, I have to give it enough relief to where it's visible based on some of the frets. This instrument, I played every fret and confirm there's no rattliness, there's no high frets, there's no buzzed out notes. The fret ends right here, I can feel them. They have not been rounded off properly. They're a little bit, I don't know, just not, they're not sharp, but they're not filed down. They're not smoothed. I think a nice once over, twice over with a couple pieces of sandpaper would take care of that. So given that quality control is what suffers on these, it's not the build quality overall, it's the control of the quality, right? So you may very well get a bad one, as I can tell you firsthand when I ended up with some bum jazz basses, But yeah, this one's great. I can tell that the intonation, you see it's like it's set straight across. I was playing and I feel like the intonation on the E and the A are sharp, so these have to come back. And there's room to lower the action, and the way I would do that would be, yeah, they're so far up that the screw is down in the saddle, so they're almost up as far as you would really want them to go. So there's a bunch of play, and they're radiused really well. It's actually radiused with the fretboard. So the way I would go about this is I would lower it to where you can visibly see that it's lowered, and try playing the upper frets and in this area and see if anything buzzes, and then go a little bit lower. Keep doing that until it buzzes, and then you raise it just a little bit to where it doesn't buzz anymore, and see if it actually feels better. So there's that. So here's a fun part about these basses. This pickup has a black cover because this is a Strat pickup. Yeah. So they use actual Strat pickups for this. It has 6 pole pieces on a 4-string bass. They cover it where you can't see the pole pieces, and they slap it in there. And guess what? It works just fine, because on these pickups, the pole pieces are not Alnico bars or Alnico rods. They are steel, and there's a ceramic bar on the bottom, meaning that pretty much the whole thing is, I don't know, magnetized. It doesn't really make a huge difference. I wouldn't say that is information you could apply to all pickups, especially not all Strat pickups, because any Alnico Strat pickup, when you see the poles, those are actual magnets, and you don't want to be too far off from the actual magnets. But for this one, this is pretty good, and the buzz is really minor. for this to be a single coil. Like, I'm kind of shocked. I don't have any. I'm plugged in direct right now, so I haven't amplified any noise. So that would be an interesting test to run it through distortion. Let me see. Yeah, I can only ever so slightly hear it. It's very quiet. In the long run, I still would probably want to get like a hot rail style pickup to put in here. It looks like, and some of the bass lines I played were inspired by the 51 P bass. It looks like that style pickup, but these are slightly smaller, I think it is. It's very, very minor. It's one of those things where I think you could probably make some adjustments and fit a 51 in here. But you see, sanding the pick guard is one thing. You already have these screw holes here. And the screw holes are in a specific mounting location for a Strat pickup. So I don't really want to mess with that too much. Anything that goes in here has to be a Strat pickup, or at least Strat sized. Stock strings with this, the ones they came with, are good. I bought some short scale strings in my favorite brand, D'Addario, and I got some regular nickel wounds and some chromes because I want to try some different things on this throughout time and see how it goes. This sort of bass lends itself well to flat wounds and just kind of that vibe. A short scale bass, if you don't know, will have less overtones, and an overtone is simply like, for example, when you play a note, you have it's it's basically harmonics of the main note, and the what you perceive as tone is multiple different notes all in tandem, or different frequencies all at the same time. And longer scale basses like a Dingwall or whatever sound bright because it's got a lot more frequencies in it, because it's tight and it's got a long scale. So a short scale bass reduces overtones. It has more warm, mellow vibe. You have a pickup right here in the middle. It's actually maybe slightly more toward the neck than the middle. That would be something interesting to measure. It works well for that vibe, and then you throw some chromes on here, and I think you've got your bass that is right where you want it. If I get a hot reel for this as well, it's going to have more low-end output. stay tuned for modding and tone example videos with this bass. And yeah, my recommendation basically is for people who are feeling a short scale vibe, this is a good choice. I did think to compare this to, like, there's a Glary model that's similar. The thing with Glary is I like their basses, but the colors did not appeal to me in this model. This one has Tahitian coral, it has the shell pink, the really nice California blue, the ultraviolet. All the colors are vibrant and, like, they jump out at you. And I've tried to make videos a few times on, like, vanity and musicians and instruments. Yeah, there is a certain point that happens, but you do have to find an instrument that visually appeals to you. Like, when you look at it, your brain screams, like, I want to play that bass. And then also, when people view you, there is a certain level of visual enjoyment rather than just what they hear. There's no way around it. I hate it, but that's the way it is. Anyways, I'm rambling at this point. Really dig this bass. Good purchase. If you missed the Black Friday sale, I don't know. Wait till next year, but it's a good one.